ये वीक एंड ब्राइट स्टूडेंट का डॉक्यूमेंट बनाया था ना? वीक एंड ब्राइट स्टूडेंट का वीक एंड ब्राइट स्टूडेंट का डॉक्यूमेंट एनडीए के समय बनाया था ना? तो कौन से क्राइटेरिया में होगा? कौन से सिपाही का होगा? नहीं
ना ऐसे देखिए बोलते हो लास्ट नहीं
लास्ट है।
Let us start our today's discussion on supercritical boilers, CFP boilers by PC versus CFP boilers. PC technology, what we find here is online once through boiler is the only type suitable for the supercritical pressure operation. What is the critical pressure? We know that critical pressure of steam is around 273 degrees centigrade, and for supercritical means you have to increase the temperature of your boiling water for boiling more than that, so that it can directly convert to the steam without going through, without adding the latent heat to it, or without having the time of without spending time of latent heat to the itself. Now, there is vaporization is all right, but the latent heat is supposed to add to the vaporization, but it will take within moments because the surrounding heat is extremely high, and it will heat up the water and convert it to the steam also to a much higher degree than the boiling point, around about 273 degree or so within a second. That's why it is called superheated boilers, and it doesn't have to require the time and setup required for heating and boiling the water from stage by stage, from liquid to steam, from steam to liquid to saturated steam, and from saturated steam to the superheated temperature itself. So what is our idea is here? We are doing here the supercritical boiler itself. Water is heated over the supercritical temperature. It does not goes to the latent heat addition state. Now, what is going on here? The water is being heated at constant assumed supercritical pressure itself. Pressure should be kept assumed, but it is generally doesn't remains itself. And according to the pressure, the saturated pressure, supercritical pressure, your supercritical temperature is supposed to be vary to a certain degree. Now, what happens to this? What is the superheated temperature? I mean, the superheated heating is like, which suddenly flashes the temperature, flashes the water into the vapor itself, and thus there is no saturation temperature as such, and the vapor is further heated to the desired temperature in the superheated, although there is no drum itself, superheated itself. Although there is no drum, there is a transition section between the water is likely, where like water is likely to flash itself. It is like this. There is no drum. But a transition zone is there. Now, what is going on here? Water is in the transition zone is likely flash. Before the transition, the water is in the liquid phase, and after the transition, the water is the vapor phase. And everything from both this transition from liquid to vapor, this being conducted throughout the tube through which the water, which a huge number of tubes through which the water is flowing itself. Now, the VF is equal to Vg, but although the VF means volume of the fluid water versus volume of the gas is equal, but during the flashing, the heat transfer coefficient of water is in the liquid phase. Heat transfer coefficient of water is the liquid phase after the transition of water in the vapor phase. So during the flashing, what happens? The heat transfer coefficient of water is supposed to be in the liquid phase, and that too after the transition of in the vapor phase, heat transfer coefficient also varies. Well, what happens here? The heat transfer coefficient in liquid stage varies than that of vapor stage. Now, although the volume of liquid is equal to volume of the gas during the flashing itself, the heat transfer coefficient of water, in the surface area, so that's why the amount of the heat in the vapor phase is amount in the fluid is amount of the heat present in the what you say in fluid stage or in water stage is much more than the amount of heat present in the gaseous state itself. This surface area requires for a certain heat transfer will be different. The surface area required for liquid heat transfer in liquid state to the gaseous state is completely different itself. Stop share screen. My God. The heat enthalpy of water, enthalpy of water at liquid stage, water at liquid stage that is HF or fluid stage is much more than at vapor stage. So HF is greater than HG. So tube area of the tubes under liquid phase phase is more than in gaseous phase. Just one second. Although the since the tube diameter is all same, so the length on the through the length after the transition in the once through type of the tube is in the places will be different. That certain amount of heat transfer, the water enters the boiler at one end of the of a number of parallel path and comes out at the outlet as superheated steam. Now, superheated steam. Now, what happens here? The in the Dalmes technology itself, through Dalmes 1 through technology, used in a supercritical boiler, water enters at one point, at feed point, and the superheated steam leaves out at the other end without any circulation itself. Now, in a conventional vertical wall design, the riser wall tubes in the central portion are exposed to the highest heat fast. Means what happens here? The riser or wall tubes in the central region are exposed to the highest heat thrust. Highest heat thrust means the highest amount of heat will created at that position among the full furnace area. The furnace area, the heat index or heat flux is not same everywhere. It varies from point to point. And the central area you always see gets the highest heat, means highest heat flux itself. And some corners in the tube generally get less heat. So the steam pressure, the middle tubes always you see higher than those of in the corner tube itself. This unequal temperature difference is called serious thermal stresses in the tubes, serious thermal stresses in the tube itself. Uh, Next goes. Now, so in order to avoid this thing, the spiral wall design is adopted for supercritical boiler itself, as if there initially the all the number of tubes or tube circuit, you can say that, is vertical in nature. Now we call it in a spiral type or in an angle, as angle shown in the figure itself. What is seen here is given like this. This is one of the spiral division wall. What we have here, this is the transition header, and this is the vertical shape design, and this is the spiral shape design itself. And what you see, this is at working at an angle with the particle transition wall header itself. Now, every tubes in the design is now on the boiler, the troubles have the design is well established and apply for any unit size. Number of size of the tubes is selected in order to provide enough cooling in the furnace itself, enough cooling in the furnace. Since every tube is a part of the fall walls, every tube is in the part of the fall wall, so that the temperature difference between the tubes are minimized and the heat absorption of an individual tube is approximately same. So you see, we have number of tubes, but tubes are not connected with each other. It is connected to the all four walls of the furnace, and they are at the end they are going through a installed furnace insert box itself. They are at the end. They are connected to at the header, sometimes also at the intermediate header also used, so that the water and steam flow is adequately placed, adequate movement of water and steam flow takes place. And the furnace wall is to be an intermediate header used always to make the furnace wall sometimes vertical in the upper end of the furnace, and there are furnace wall tubes at an angle at the more or less at the middle. The spiral tubes not not self-supporting itself. Spiral load, supporting load is transferred to the upper portion of the vertical load itself. So the tubes itself are supporting each other, and through this particular, the header of the tube points a junction box of tubes is itself, through the header itself. The particle wall design is adopted as an alternative to the spherical spiral wall design. So you can adopt it in the particle way. So it is like a conventional vertical furnace, but the tubes are always internally ripped. These internal ribs promote turbulence and heat transfer, and also keeps the inside surface wet without informing a vapor film itself. So what a vertical tubes are always we have internally ripped itself, means there are rib-like formation in the inside furnace, which will transfer heat to the tube at the same time to cause the circulation of the tube, circulate inside the tube itself. A particle wall, it is like a conventional particle because the internal zip itself, which are called just without forming a vapor film. This design is also reduced cost and mechanical complexity of the total item itself. Now, there is a small sketch here, which is a vertical wall-tight tube and sidal wall-tight tube itself. You see, there is the heat flask is given. This is the average flow from left to right, average from left to right, and the flask itself is moving up and down and like this. Flask is moving up and down itself. Here, the vertical type is the spiral type itself. We see the vertical types tubes are placed like this, and this is the flow of water through this tube itself. And spiral type was placed like this, which at an angle with the vertical, and the fluid as well as the gas is also, I mean the vapor is also fluid in this direction itself. And this internal can be, this spiral type can be connected with the vertical type in one side. So mostly the middle portion of the beam is given is the spiral shape, so that it is a more uniform formation of the sheet for the conversion of a conversion of water into the superheated temperature. And the upper portion, it is going up and up like this. So it is already vaporized and going through the furnace to get more temperature and ultimately going back to the turbine itself. Now, if we compare the spiral wound furnace and vertical ripped tube furnace, hits the following advantages. Self-supporting tubes, simplifying boiler supporting tube. Self-supporting tubes means मतलब क्या है? Self-supporting tubes means it is self-supporting tubes simplifying the boiler support. It simplifies itself. Elimination of internally intermediate headers at spiral particle interface. Simple ash hopper tubes geometry itself. Lower overall boiler pressure tube. So the elimination of intermediate headers. There is no such intermediate header in spiral and particle interfaces. They are always connection directly between each other. Simple ash hopping tubes geometry. The ash hopper are more or less simpler in design itself. Lower overall boiler pressure tube. The water and steam flow steam flow circuit shown in the figure, next page, we are showing it. The economizer is placed at the lower uncooled casing section of the parallel pairs and recovery area. As in the conventional boiler, the economizer flat plane tube, continuous hose tube, and horizontal trammable types. Air heater is placed downstream of the economizer. Heat water after economizer passes through online steam water superheated water separated to get final superheated steam superheated circuit and consists of final Wolf HRA. What is saying here? Water and steam flow circuit itself of a critical boiler itself. You have, this is the economizer and the furnace wall here on the side of this thing. The drain is the flash tank, water stream, separator vent, and from here, it is water is collected here. This recirculation pump, a portion of the water rejected goes through the economizer and furnace wall and then goes back to the water stream line again here at this position here. Then it goes through the furnace roof. It is the top. There's also being hit there. Then go to the backpass wall and primary superheater. Then throughout this furnace wall, this is coming out. Water flash tank, valve, water collecting temperature, water stream. Here is water converted to steam and water. Then furnace roof. It is getting then backpass wall itself. The primary superheater, spray water itself. platoon superheater, flattened superheater, and final superheater. Then goes to the high pressure turbine itself. And a guard portion is being siphoned out to the high pressure turbine, again to the another high pressure turbine itself, and primary rear heater and final reheater goes to the intermediate pressure and low pressure turbine. And some portion of it is again bypassed to the condenser itself. Now, the HRA, what we have here, superheated circuit consists of furnace roof, HRA boiler pressure valve, and primary superheater, flattened superheater, and then final superheater itself. The reheated steam obtained from steam turbine is just heated in primary superheater, reheater, and reheater placed at the HRA. The steam then passes through final reheater tubes to achieve the final reheat steam temperature control itself. A spray water temperature is provided for reheat steam temperature control as in final superheater itself. The low pressure turbine bypass valve is provided in to the bypass heat stream flow through continuous conclusion. By operating this valve, reheat stream can be passed to the condenser itself. The large number of opening pioneering supercritical pressure through boilers are built for the utility interface itself, many of which are with double reheat with steam pressure in the range 310-340 basis and steam temperature range 620-650 basis. So there are different types. The steam pressure can be ranged from 300 to 340 bars, and with steam pressure with 300 to 340 bars, and the steam temperature can be 620 to 650 degrees centigrade, and cross compound turbine itself. The pressure range of pressure is 310 to 350 bars, and range of temperature is 600. Range of temperature is 620 to 650 watts. Now, the figure is in the next page shows a simplified view of a CFC slider itself. C slider honeycomb monocomb steam generator with a triple flux reheater, where steam is being reheated partly by steam and partly by the gas itself. The name derived from the CE slider switch there, and partly by itself. And steam is more derived from the feature of using continuous tubes from the inlet to the outlet of the evaporator circuit. This avoids the distribution problem, whereas inherent in a design employing intermediate heaters. Now, superheater boilers may also be used as one through design in supporting system and supporting steam, and the range of the pressure there varies from 138 to 276 bar, and the steam outlet varies from 38 to 78 degree. So one screw drum and incorporate the steam in water superheater itself to permit the flow down of concentrated slide solids. The economical range of pressure varies from generally 130 to 276 degree base, and the steam output varies from 38 to 70 degrees. This is for subcritical boilers. Also use subcritical boilers once to drive, incorporate steam and water separation and removal of a small amount of water to permit subcritical boilers. Next, what happens here? Just 1 second. It is for a subcritical pressure. Pressure is around 138, 138 to 276 bars, and boiler steam output, steam output one two 60 kg per second. This is the Switzerland monotube steam generator with reflux reheater itself. What one is the economizer? What is this is the economizer process? This one, 2 is the evaporator here, and 3 is also an evaporator. This is the full portion of the evaporator itself, and 4 reflux heater. What is that? This is one. And final superheater is the final superheater is 5. Is the final superheater, and 6 real final reheater. So everything, all the reheater superheater creeps in this particular side itself. And the high pressure turbine, 7 to high pressure turbine here is, and 8 is a low pressure turbine, where both are being supplied the paper from this ship system itself. And the final reheater, the lower pressure turbine, condenser, and water separator is all same for all of us. Now, what is the principal advantage of the one-screw boiler? A principal advantage of this one-screw boiler is that it does not require centrifugal pumps or drums, and because we don't, how will you supply the steam through the system then? If you don't have any centrifugal drum or pipes for therein, the energy required for circulation will be brought by feed water pump itself. And the design is well suited for quick start and rapid load changes. And since what movement is what is designed for quick start and rapid load changes. And since it is used small diameter tubes, there is no drum and provided positive circulation under all operating conditions. The main disadvantage of the requirement of the extremely pure requirement is extremely pure, almost distilled water, pure distilled water, pure water, boiler water. About around 0.11, 0.1 ppm is the supercritical temperature itself. It requires .01 ppm parts per minute in the supercritical range. Now what happens? Then this is a drum type super. All these solids present because if the solids are present, they are deposited in the tubes and carried along with steam to turbine itself. In the supercritical pressure range, the limitation is slightly less severe than there is some blowdown of boiler water. The capital cost of a supercritical boiler are a flow percent higher than those of a drum type supercritical one of the same capacity itself. But because of the measured efficiency of the boiler plant itself, efficient the thermal plant, the capital cost of the turbo generator as well as other components, the condenser, cooling water heater, etc., they are lower. There will be less fuel consumption for certain capacity as total production cost of electricity are lower for the supercritical cycle with double reheat itself. Now let us go for the static precipitator itself. What is that? The principal component of electrostatic precipitator (ESP) are two sets of electrodes, mainly insulated from one each other. The first set is composed of rows of electrically ground vertical plates and called the collection electrodes, between which the ductile gas flows. The second type of electrode consists of wires called the discharge or emitting electrodes that are centrally located between each pair of parallel plates itself. This wire thus carries a directional regularly charged high voltage, that is between 20 and 20 kilovolt current from an external DC source. The applied high voltage generates a unidirectional non-uniform electric field whose magnet is greatest near the discharge electrode itself. Now, when that voltage is of high enough, a blue luminous glow called a corona is produced around them, and electrical forces in the corona accelerates the free electrons present in the gas so that they ionize the gas molecules, thus forming more electronics and positive gas ions itself. The new electrons created then more electrons, thus result in a chain reaction itself. This is the sketch here. You see, this is the control cabinet here. We have 440 voltage power, 54 power, and 3 hertz supply is required. High voltage transformer is required through which the gas is there. Then it is going to be rectified, and from the insulator is provided, and that is earth is on site. Then goes to the insulators here. Then lead gas emitting electrons and discharges and collecting electrons, basic elements of electrostatic precipitors. The positive ion travels to the negatively charged wire electrodes. The electrons follow the electrical fields towards the grounded electrode itself, but their velocity increases as they move away from the corona region along the wire electrodes towards the ground plate. The gas molecules capture the low velocity electrons and becomes negative ions. As these ions moves to their collecting electrodes, they collides with the fly ash particles in the gas stream and gives them the negative charge. The negatively charged fly ash particles in the gas stream and give them the negative charge. The negatively charged fly ash particles are driven to the collectively plate by the force which is proportional to the particles of the charge and the strength of the electrode field itself. And electrostatic participators like a cyclone separator has an overall correction efficiency, say, eta 0 defined by mass of all particles retained by the collectors and divided by mass of all particles retained by the entering collector itself. It is easy to collect large particles than small particles, and it can be approximately estimated by the Dutch equation as given below. Eta 0, 1 minus exponential is 1 minus AV to the power in 1 into 5, where A is the area of the collector plate, VMA is the effective integration velocity of the particle one side, and Q is the flue gas volume flow through each plate itself. So let us stop here for today's lecture. We'll continue in the next day itself.